Hello, Sarah. Welcome to the podcast. I am so excited to have you with me today. How are you?
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm good. It is 9 a.m. here in New Zealand. Feeling excited. Really, really excited to jump into it.
Yes, and I'm so excited to have you because we're going to talk about some really great things, especially in the land of reels and products and content creation. But before we get into all that, introduce yourself to everyone listening and what it is that you do.
Yeah, so I am a product-based business coach. So I work with business owners that sell physical products, and I help them with their Instagram marketing, particularly their content. And I'm all about creating organic traffic and getting those organic sales. Most of my audience have Shopify stores, but some have Etsy stores. And I'm just such a big fan of e-commerce and really marketing and being creative with the marketing and pushing those physical product sales. So that is what I do. I'm big on branding and visuals and also creating that humanized content. And I know you're big on this too, Mandy. I'm big on showing your face, going beneath the surface, and building humanized brands that have a lot of trust with their audience. So yeah, I feel like we're definitely on the same page in terms of creating that content that really connects and that humanized content.
Yes, I love humanized content. I love that you said that because somebody I was just chatting with said that that's the thing that's missing from marketing is the human aspect to it. We've always just been so product, and service, and look what I can do for you. It's not based in the service of actually helping people. So I love that you said that because that's what we need more of. Less of the product, more of the person and the problems that we can solve and the people we can serve. So let's hop right into it. Of what does that look like of when you're creating, let's say, I know we're going into the world of reels and video content. And I think something a lot of business owners have a problem or struggle, or maybe they're just overthinking this, which we do very easily as business owners. We overthink really easily, but we're thinking like, okay, my product is my business, but I don't want it to just be product and this, that, and the third. What is the key ingredients to a piece of content that really serves their ideal audience? That it's not like, here's my product, but here's the thing that I can do for you that my product solves.
Yeah, that's such a good question. A big part of this, and we hear this all the time, is know your audience, find your niche. And I know in the product-based world that can be challenging. If you've got a product-based business that has a really clear ideal customer, let's say you sell dog bandanas, the ideal customer for that is going to be dog owners, or let's say baby toys. Your ideal customer, it's going to be mums with young children or babies. And so for those kinds of businesses, knowing your customer, knowing your audience is really clear cut. But if you're selling, let's say, clay earrings, something like that, indoor decor, that sort of thing, it can be more challenging to know your ideal customer and to know your audience. What I encourage people to do is to really take tabs of who is consuming their content, who's their warmest audience. So let's say you put up an Instagram story with a poll, are you a tea or coffee person? Maybe something like that, coffee all the way.
Absolutely.
You've got your iced coffee there. So I would encourage people to swipe up and have a look at who was voting, because they are their warmest audience, and then actually go on these profiles. It's challenging if these people have private accounts because you can't see much. But if they've got a public account, have a look. What are they sharing about? Sort of what demographic do they fit in? And then from there, identify what their big struggles are. Try to identify some patterns. Are they young women in a transition period going from high school to university? Are they trying to figure out what they're wanting to do in life? Identify their struggles and then create content that meets them where they are, because we are all going about life wanting to make our lives better. We want to improve it. We don't even realize it, but we are looking for wisdom. We are looking for encouragement. And so if we can offer that that to our audience, they are naturally going to see us as a resource of value. They are going to see us as someone that adds to their lives. And so they're just naturally going to keep coming back for more. And of course, that connection and that trust is being built. And a byproduct of that is the conversion. Because if they let's say it's their sister's birthday, they're looking for a gift, they consume our content regularly, they trust us, they love what we do, we are front of mind. And so they would be far more likely to purchase from us than another business. So it really does come down to figuring out who your audience is and identify their struggles, what they're going through, and create content around that. And some of your content would need to be product heavy, creating that product awareness. But then also some content, it doesn't have to feature your product at all. It can be you. And it could be a mix. It could be behind the scenes. We want a variety of content rather than, as you said, it just being about here's my product. So it all starts with who your audience is and what they're going through.
Oh, I love that. That's so detailed of going through the people that have responded to you in your stories and then going over to the profile and really just there to get to know them. You're not selling anything to them. You're not sliding into their DMs. You are purely there to get to know somebody. And that's where the difference comes in when it comes to cold messaging, product, sell to, I just want to get to know the people that are already following me and they potentially are a really great client. And maybe they just don't know that they're a great client yet. Maybe they don't know they need these clay earrings, but doing that market research and having just a running list of this is what, I mean, you don't necessarily even have to say like Sarah has this, that, and the third. It could just be my female and looks like she's around this age, is graduating college in the fall or whatever it may be. I mean, that's so detailed. And I really love the intricacy of that because again, it goes back to that humanization of creating your content. I love that. That's so great.
Yeah, and it can be who's voting in your polls, it can be who's commenting, who's responding to your stories. I mean, even who's liking your posts, because sometimes people don't interact, they're kind of just watching from a distance. I mean, there'll be a lot of spam bot accounts that are liking, sift past those, but knowing who they are it will honestly make the content creation process so much easier, and it means that the content will be more powerful because it's actually evoking emotion, it's making people feel something, and that's what we're all wanting. We remember how people make us feel. And so if we can create content that really evokes that emotion, even being polarizing, I'm such a fan of being polarizing. I know I mentioned that people are wanting wisdom and encouragement, 100% they are, but also through being polarizing, we're also evoking emotion and we're really pulling those ideal customers in closer because we all have different thoughts about things and different perceptions. And if we come across someone that shares those same views, it's like, yes, you are my person. I love what you're about. We are soul sisters type thing. So don't be afraid to be polarizing. That's what I often tell people. It can be scary at first because it's like, oh, am I going to lose followers? But you're going to lose the people that aren't going to buy anyway. So it's a win.
And they're not right. And they're not serving a growth in your business, not to make it so black and white, but I mean, there's no harm, no foul here, and that's totally fine. I'd love for you to give an example for those that are listening of polarizing type topics in case they're like, I don't even know what polarizing is. How do I be polarizing? Because it's not the same as controversial. Because it's not the same as that. So I would love for you to kind of dive in deeper of what that actually looks like, sounds like, all that.
Yeah. In the product-based world, a great way to dip your toes into being polarizing is to identify a key point of difference that your business has. Let's say ethical and sustainable products. And people have very strong views on that. It's a trending topic. Not that I want to say that being sustainable is a trend, but you know what I mean. There's more and more people talking about it, which is fantastic.
More and more people are talking about it. It's become a bigger voice. Yes, totally.
Yeah. And so that is a key point of difference. And I recently, actually taking that same topic of being ethical and sustainable, I created a lip syncing reel. I think it was a Kardashian voiceover, and it was something along the lines of, I can't even remember, but that's not for me type thing.
Oh, not into it.
That's it.
Not approved by me. Girl, you can say any sound, guaranteed. I can say it back to you.
You are the reels queen. That was it exactly. And I had the text saying, when I see a business that uses, when I see an unethical business making profit off of it, or something along those lines. And that really got a lot of traction, and that is going to pull in my audience that believes in having, you know, strong ethics and everything. And it's going to push away the people that don't care, and that's fine.
Right.
And so that's a great example. Identify a key point of difference and then create some conversation around it. Another one that I recently did is I noticed that there were, I mean, this might sound a little controversial, but I still think it does fall into that polarizing category. There are a lot of businesses out there that on the outside, they're all about community over competition, but then behind closed doors, perhaps it's a different story. And so I created a reel about that. There is this trend, and I'm sure you'll know about this. It's when someone kind of has this realization and the audio goes, oh Lord. And it's like, ding. And then there's another angle of the person like looking shocked, and the audio keeps going. And then there's about 4 different clips where you're just like looking out into the abyss in shock because you have this realization. And so I created that reel, and that got people talking, because I know that my audience are truly big on community over competition, and we're the underdogs. And I think we can all relate to that thing of the big bad guys kind of abusing people, yada yada. And so that kind of thing really does attract and repel, gets people talking. So it's about identifying those key points of difference and the things that your audience, the topics that your audience really emotionally align with, and those topics that they have strong views on. And then have some fun, you know, and you can always clarify things in the caption so it doesn't come across as being super controversial. You can really expand on your viewpoint in the caption, and you can even ask for your audience's point of view, that kind of thing. So that's a really good way to dip your toes into being polarizing.
I love that. That's like already sparking a whole bunch of ideas. And I'm not even a product-based business, but I know this will be super helpful when somebody's like, Mandy, I don't know what reel to make. And I'm just trying to think back on the times that I'm looking through reels, and I'm always trying to put my market research eyeballs on, not my consumer eyeballs. But every once in a while I get sucked in. I'm like, that's a really good one. Oh, I want to go purchase that. Most of the time, it's small business owners or creatives. And I remember, I can even think this girl does these really beautiful custom portraits, and she does a lot of them for weddings as kind of a mother's gift. And one of them was of the bride, the mom, and the grandmother that was no longer living. And it just touched me so much because I can resonate with that. I lost my grandmother, I mean, and before my wedding. And I'm just thinking, what a beautiful gift that would be. I wasn't even searching for that. Do you know how quickly I bought one of those portraits? Like that. Like I bought it so fast. But that's a great example of creating a reel that's of your product without it being, here's my product, you're actually telling a story of a customer testimonial of, I had this customer, she had lost her grandmother before, so on and so forth. But that's also, and I'm just thinking like the ways that I have been, I don't know, consumed, or that I've been, I don't know what the word is, but I
converted.
I have been converted into a client. I've never followed that person. I don't know how, but I'm really glad they popped up on my feed. But that is another example of, yes, I'm showing the product, but I'm not full on talking about the product. I'm actually talking about an experience somebody else had that I'm providing for her. Okay, so let's take something like the clay earrings, because I would love to hear like how somebody could turn something like that doesn't necessarily solve a problem, but it is to a very specific client or customer that likes more of that style, because that is a very specific style. So I would love to hear some of your ideas of what somebody could do for a product that's so specific like that.
Yeah. So clay earrings, they are handmade, and so we could focus on the handmade area. There
Okay.
is a sort of a trend. Again, we're dipping into that polarizing area where you have text up on the screen with an unpopular opinion. Let's say, oh, I could buy those from Target or Walmart or Kmart, just like a general store. And then the person creating the reel goes, try me. And then there is this audio going.
So good.
Yeah, and so you could have images of the beautiful clay earrings by themselves or on customers. Clearly, there is a level of detail that cannot be replicated in a store like Target. Here it's Kmart, that's the biggie. And so that could be a really good one, focusing on the fact that your key point of difference is handmade. The clay earrings are handmade, and that's something that the big stores just they don't have. They can't have handmade earrings. Another area could be the sustainability aspect, especially if you've got eco-friendly packaging, so we could focus on that. Another biggie is, as business owners, we don't just wake up one day and go, oh, I want to start a business. Like, that didn't happen at the start of our journey. There was whatever it was for me. I had always wanted to be my own boss throughout school, throughout university. And then in my final year, I got the opportunity to have a work placement. And I thought, instead of working for someone else, I'm going to use this opportunity to actually grow my own business. So that was my journey. And it was slow going at first. And people around me, they were super supportive, but I could tell that there were questions. Is she going to be able to really make something of this, or will she be in a corporate job in 6 months' time? And that's totally fair, and they were super supportive. And so I often focus on that, because for me, there was that sense of embarrassment that my business wasn't taking off immediately. There was a lot of decisions I had to make, a lot of things I had to navigate. I had to put my value not in the works of my hands and my sales and that kind of thing, because that would just be crushing. And so identify your journey. Maybe for another business owner, they were in the corporate world, hating every second, hating every day, and then they decided to just take the risk and start their own business. And so no matter what our journeys are, there were real emotions at play, because we didn't just wake up one day and go, oh, I'm going to start my own business. There are real emotions at play. There are so many micro stories. And so focus on those little micro stories. Was it that you met up with someone and they questioned your abilities? Was it the day you got your first sale and you realized that you could really make something of this? So I would encourage, if someone has a clay earring business, to really focus on the emotions and their own micro stories and experiences that led them to where they are today, because there's there would have been a lot of different things to navigate and overcome. And so that's a really special thing to focus on. Also behind the scenes, because that creates vested interest. People feel like they're part of the journey. It's not like they're just seeing the finished product. They're actually seeing what it took to get there. And we love that. That's why behind the scenes of music videos do so well. That's why those documentaries on singers do so well. Taylor Swift, Lady Gaga, those documentaries do so well, because we want the inside scoop. We want to see what goes on, and we want to feel like we're part of the journey, because we are emotional beings. We've got a really deep rooted need for belonging and acceptance, and we want to feel like we're part of something. So that's another key area, is behind the scenes. And bonus points if you can combine one of these concepts with something that's trending. Could be trending audio. That is how we get a viral reel, is really identifying pieces of trending audio. So I've seen some really clever ones in the product-based world, but any of those ideas, any of those categories I shared, can lend themselves so well to a reel that has trending audio. You know, you can create anything. So that was a bit all over the place, a bit of a ramble.
Oh, I loved it. I'm like so captivated. I'm like, hot dang, those are all such great reels that I want to come across my feed right this second. And you're so right. We almost glaze over our individual stories and what led us to here. And you were like, you hit the nail right on the head with we don't, as business owners, we don't just wake up and think, "Ah, I'm going to have a business." It's a process to get to that point. And you knowing from a very early start that you wanted to be your own boss. But the key point there is I knew I wanted to be my own boss, but I didn't know how yet. It's almost like just
Yes.
like that inkling. I know I'm meant to do this. I just don't know what that looks like yet. So if that is you, if you're listening and you hear that, I hope you know that we all went through that at some point or another. And then something presented itself, a situation happened, or maybe you were granted an opportunity where you're like, "Ah, this is it. This is literally what I've been waiting for." And that might actually not even be it that leads you, and it might even lead you to something even bigger. Like this could be it for the moment, but just know that it's coming.
Yeah. Yeah.
I, I speak to that really, really tenderly because I was definitely in that place where I started with something and it led into something even better and then better. But the fact that you and I both knew from a very early start that we wanted to be our own boss, that was important. Just didn't have any idea what it looked like. The other part too that I love that you were saying of the documentaries, and I'm like, "Ah, duh, that's why I'm always watching." I love seeing Lady Gaga and Taylor Swift and those performing or performance or performer based documentaries, I should say, because I come from a performing background, so I know very well what the behind the scenes. But I'm like, "Ah, I know what that's like." So it's a little bit closer to home for me, but that's so true. I've always known we're all nosy beings, but not
Yes.
in a way like I want to know your business. It's I want to see what your life is like. I want the inside scoop, as you just said. I want to be a part of something. I want to see like the intricate weaving that makes, this grand performance, like they do these shows. I want to see like what actually goes on to make something like that happen. I think those are brilliant ideas. So I hope y'all are taking notes because I'm definitely going to listen back on this and be like, "Yep, she said that," and just write everything down. Because I think we take
So
something
good.
like clay earrings, like something, it's simple in its form, but it's so much more intricate in its process and how you got there. And you also said this too, and
Yeah.
it's so true that uh, people at humanizing things that people buy from people. They don't just buy the product, they buy why you sell it, why you make it, and they fall in love with the person that you are. Most of the time you see a great talent, you see a great person, and you want to be a part of that. You want to be a supporting role. If we're talking
Yeah.
about performing, you want to be a supporting role in their business. I think that's all of that is so spot on. I know I'm pretty sure I just reverbed everything you just said.
No, it's so good to go over it again. And yeah, you're so right. In order to get a finished product, there are layers of emotions and
Yes.
so many stories. And even in a quick example, so I started off with clay jewelry dishes, and
Wow.
I
Okay.
recall my first biggest investment was buying a bulk amount of clay. I believe it was 11 kilograms, so probably around 20 pounds. I can't do the conversion. And it was faulty. There were all these black fibers through the clay, and
Oh.
the key point of difference with my jewelry dishes were that they were pure white, and I, long story short, couldn't return the clay. And so it was
Oh.
through this process that I thought, hey, what can I do here? And I had some sand, and I mixed
Mm,
in some sand, and I invented a new base, which I called
mm.
speckled. And that ended up being really popular because it was that kind of natural rustic look with the
Yeah.
sand mixed in. And
Yeah.
I wrote a caption on that. I said, I had the hook, what the heck is happening right now? I type thing. And then I shared what happened. And then I left my audience with that piece of wisdom, that piece of encouragement. And I said,
Yeah.
hey, if 11 kilos of dud, faulty clay can turn into a blessing, then so can your struggles. So
Ooh.
can whatever you've got in front of you, they can turn it into a blessing, because I
Yes.
identified that a lot of my following, they were young, they were trying to figure out what they wanted to do, they were navigating life,
Mm.
finding their feet, and so that would be a really good reminder for them. So we can even focus on tangible things that have happened, whether that's 11 kilos of faulty clay or something else, and we can actually turn that into a lesson for our audience.
Oh, I just got chills. That's how you know when somebody says something and you get chills. That's how you know, like, whoo, girl's preaching. The girl is preaching. Y'all better listen. Oh, that's so good. Okay, so on that note too, when we're talking about the content, we previously, before we started recording this episode, we talked about reels now being 60 seconds long, and I want to dive into that because I think that is for a very specific content creator, so it's not necessarily for everybody. Or you might get crafty and you might put sand in your in your clay and create a whole new trend that none of us even thought of. So don't count us out yet, just yet, with the 60-second reels. But let's talk about who that is for, like those longer video snippets, and what maybe the clay earrings product owner could utilize with those longer type reels.
So when it comes to creating reels, I think everyone wants to go viral. Everyone wants their reels to go viral, and I totally get that, and I do too. However, we don't want all of our reels to be under that category. We want some of our reels to really nurture our audience. And so going back to the viral reels are often very, very short. They are snappy. They use trending audio. They surprise people. They often don't go super deep. They're often not really long. And so when it comes to nurturing our audience, it pays to just forget about the whole thing of going viral and create reels that are really going to educate our audience on what our product does, and reels that really create that emotional connection. And so when it comes to the 60-second reels, a tutorial could lend itself really well to that. I had an apparel launch at the start of the year. I was missing e-commerce, so I launched an apparel line, and I created a couple of reels with customer photos. And so I asked a whole lot of my lovely customers to send through a selfie of them wearing their apparel, and I put it together with a piece of audio. It was really snappy. And so there were dozens of photos that went in line with the audio, and it ended up being quite a long reel. And at the end, I jumped in and said, hey, everyone, I'd love you to join the Makers Club. That was the name of the apparel, Makers Club. You've got until Thursday midnight to order, whatever it was. And so that ended up being quite a long reel, but that was really important because it built that community. I was visually showing my audience that Makers Club isn't just a apparel line. It is so much more than that. We are a group of people. We're a group of business owners that are making it happen. We're making our dreams come true. And so that was an example of a reel that would have never gone viral, but that wasn't the purpose of that reel. The purpose was for it to nurture my audience and to show them that it's not just a product, it's a community. Get involved, join the Makers Club type thing. And so I think that's a fantastic, that could definitely work for a clay jewelry business. They could ask their customers for photos. I even created one where I wrote out a sentence. I believe it was, I'm in the Makers Club, I'm chasing my dream and making it happen, something like that. And I gave each person a word to say. And so they set their phone up, either selfie or hands free, and they had their apparel on and they said that word. And then I linked it all together and it formed this sentence. So that could work really well too. Even a behind the scenes montage or showing the journey. I created a reel where at the beginning, it's a clip of me in bed and I suddenly turn on my lamp, write something on a bit of paper. And the text was, I got an idea in the middle of the night. And then it went through the journey of bringing this apparel line to life, being at the manufacturer, comparing different colors of thread, receiving my packaging, all of that. And it was this real journey. And that would have never gone viral because it was quite long in length and it wasn't trending audio. And it was just, it was, as I said, longer in length, but that really nurtured my current audience. And that nurture is so important. If we're just focusing on growth, we'll have a lot of followers, but then if we neglect the nurture side of things, then we're not going to get those conversions. And that's ultimately what we want. So it is a balance of both growth, because our follower base are our customer base, but then also nurture, because that's what warms people to that point of conversion. Pretty long-winded answer. Was that a good example?
Oh my gosh, so much. I'm like mesmerized and thinking like, I personally love to be taken on a journey. So I would gobble up that piece of content where you literally tell a story and like I can see everything in my mind of that whole entire process. And I couldn't agree with you more. And it was just kind of a light bulb aha moment too of we are so focused on having viral reels, but if they come to your profile and they don't see anything that's going to nurture or help them along in their journey, it was all for naught. Like there's
Yes.
you just made this really great reel, and then you don't have anything to nurture them when they come back to your profile.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
mind explosion. And also
Yeah.
that reinforces the importance of being regular on stories, because if someone
Yes.
comes across your account because one of your reels have gone viral, they're going to go
Mm-hmm.
through your feed content. They're also going to tap on our profile picture and have a look at our stories. And if that's
Mm-hmm.
all very surface level or very product heavy, product focused, then there's not going to be that emotional connection either. So it
Mm-hmm.
so reinforces the importance of showing up and say, hey guys, I want to replicate this Starbucks iced coffee drink, which I know that you've done, and
Oh my
sharing
gosh,
the
I'm gonna go do it
recipe.
now. I'm gonna go do it because it's so funny. I'm getting those questions in the DMs, and it's so funny when somebody else says it. Like, why didn't I think of that? Why didn't hello,
Hmm.
hello? Sometimes we just get so into it, and that's important to have people around you. I mean, that I feel like I need to have you send me an invoice because you basically just gave me content.
I mean, that
But
was the first thing I said when we got on this recording,
yes,
as I said, tell me more about this iced coffee, what's in it and everything. So it's for us, it seems
yes,
like, for us as the content creator, it might seem irrelevant, or why do people
right,
care about that? But
right.
truly, no one else is living our life. I don't know what's in your iced
Mm.
coffee. I don't have your gorgeous Starbucks cup. I want to see more about it. And so, yeah, and as you said earlier, we're all so nosy. So it really
Yes.
does come down to that.
Okay, when I make the reel for this, I'm tagging you and saying this credit all goes to Sarah because she literally told me if you made a reel, this is nurturing. It's probably not going to go viral, but plenty of people are going to say, "Oh, that's the iced coffee she talks about in
Yeah.
the stories."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Brilliant, Sarah. Brilliant. Okay, just we'll talk after where I send my money. I'll give you all my money.
So good. And also touching on that, I call this a brand attribute, but for you, that could be a really key theme or part of your brand, and it's something that people associate with you. So maybe if people try that iced coffee recipe, they tag you in their story, their audience are then becoming exposed to you. Mine's called the Crazy Snack Lady. I love snacks, I love food, and so I've even got a gift that says the Crazy Snack Lady, and people tag me in their snacks and their meals. So that can be a key theme.
Man, girl, I need to go take notes. We need to end this podcast episode so I can go take these notes so I don't forget it. That is so brilliant. Okay, so I know people are just dying to know where they can connect with you, where they can work with you, where they can hire you to like create all of their reels for them. So please give us all the info. Where can people connect with you?
Yeah, so my Instagram username is sarah.airey, AIREY.co. And I've actually got a free resource where I've got 5 product reel ideas, and each idea can be used multiple times. So it's kind of like more than 5 ideas. So that's a really good place to start, because I
Mhm.
show examples, I show you how to do all of that kind of thing. So yeah, download that. That'll be linked in my bio. Otherwise, my website is sarahairey.com, and I've got some other free lessons and free trainings from my courses. So branding and captions, if you're wanting caption ideas, I've got a free lesson on that too. So that's where to find me. And yeah, tag me in your reels as well. I would love to see what you create. I
Yes.
would love to show it some love, and come say hi, and tell me that you came from Mandy's podcast as well.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Sarah. What a great conversation. Like I said, I'm going to hop off. I'm going to go take me some notes. I'm going to go make that coffee reel like ASAP, tag you in it. Thank you again so much for your time today. So valuable, so helpful, and giving that wisdom, but also just like serving us with some just good, valuable content. I thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me. Bye-bye.